Hello from Los Angeles. We're here at Vintage King LA with Mr. Andy Munro, who's visiting to talk about his speakers, the eggs. But I'd like to ask you about this studio in Vienna, my dear friends at MG Sound. I've known them for 20 years. You were involved in the design of their first studio.
Yep.
On Salzkreis.
That's right.
They've moved
in the center of Vienna.
Right. And they recently moved and reopened on Rudolfsplatz, I believe.
That's right. So
can you tell me a little bit about what went into the creation of the new MG Sound?
Yeah, well, the first thing to say is it's much bigger than the old place. The old place really started off as a music studio with some kind of multimedia facility for doing advertising and so on, whereas the new facility is much more orientated to sort of like a complete across the spectrum range of facilities, from film to music to audio for broadcast, advertising, corporate stuff. And I think that's the strength of MG really, and the talent that Martin has, because he brings in an amazing range of clients. You know, he's working with everyone from BMW through to, you know, the Vienna Symphony Orchestra.
And Bono.
Yeah. So that's what keeps him in business, basically, that broad spectrum. And he's very talented. He's a very good engineer. And it's quite unusual for a studio engineer to be such a good businessman.
Oh, yes.
He's very good at business. And Eva backs him up with that, and she's very shrewd, and they set up the record company, and that's been successful. And for such a small country, they do really, really well.
Yeah, it's a good balance with Ludwig, too.
Yeah.
His talent as a composer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're all over Vienna. They do theater, they do concerts, they do all sorts of stuff.
Well, Martin's got me involved in many projects over the years, not least of which was the old Riesenradplatz in Vienna, which is the old Ferris wheel. It's the oldest one in the world.
Right.
And they redeveloped that whole area because it was a little bit seedy, and they did like a Times Square job on it and completely changed it.
Yeah.
And Martin got me involved in that project, and we designed the biggest Yamaha CobraNet based sound system in the whole of Europe.
Wow.
In the Riesenradplatz. I think we've got something like 64 channels of audio running throughout the park, and Martin did the sound mix for that in situ.
Well, let's get to the studio. I talked to Ava, and she told me that they're very happy with their new cinema ability, Control Room F, and they've got a scoring stage and a dubbing theater. You tell me what's different, what's special.
Okay, well, the main thing about Studio F is, A, it's something they didn't have before, and B, it is the first sort of purpose-built, full-blown 7.1 film mixing room, you know, to meet the full Dolby sort of Premiere standard level of re-recording. And coupled to that, they have a live room, which is basically working with Studio F. So Studio F will be a dual-purpose room. It'll be a film room and a music control room for the big live room. And in the live room, the acoustic in that is geared very much to doing acoustic instrumentation, orchestral film music, and that's a first in Austria. I don't think, even though RF don't have that kind of facility, I don't think. So
pretty nice.
So what business there is, he'll have. I can promise that.
I've seen photos, and the place looks really great, very spacious. I think it was an old bank.
It was a bank, and it has sort of bank-like qualities, like high ceilings and very solid. And when you go down into the basement, you can almost feel where the money was. There's sort of like a huge old vault there that was built out of solid cast iron. I think they couldn't take that out.
Oh.
And there's a whole bunch of things down there that just make you feel very safe somehow, very solid. Yeah, so light is a major factor. It's on a corner site in a very good part of Vienna, very near the river. So there's a very good quality of light flooding into the main reception area and the post-production rooms on the ground floor. And that's where they can do all of their work for TV, radio commercials, that sort of thing. Well, that's sort of like their bread and butter work. And that's constantly flowing through the building and doing very well. And then Martin can do his major music projects in the main studios, A and B. And then down in the basement, basically in F, it's more project work, you know, long-term projects that Martin's working on. And I know he's working with the orchestras in Vienna to create library sounds and also other specialist sort of projects work.
Well, he's very adamant about how special the players are in Vienna, and their instruments.
The history's there, isn't it? There's no city on earth that has more famous composers than Vienna.
So now they could probably accommodate a lot of work from international work.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, the standard's there. It'll be full international Dolby film production standard, so they can interface with the guys that they know in Hollywood, and yeah, there are connections with Disney, not just through me, but their own connections, and they've done work with Warner Brothers, and all the big companies know who they are. I mean, they're the only really big, serious commercial studio in Austria.
Yeah.
And they also reached out into southern Germany, and there's quite a big hinterland there, so they've got a big market to work from.
Well, great. Thanks for spending some time with me.
No, it's been a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you after all these years. Yes.
Yeah.
And I can hardly wait to visit Vienna again. Love that city.
My favorite city. If I could, I'd live there.
All right.
Definitely. Can't say better than that.
Wiedersehen.
Vielen Dank.
Vielen Dank. All right, thanks. Bye.
Okay.